This is kind of how you currently see success and failure right now. You're in a deep dark hole. Things in the impossible category are stuff like growing wings. But you're lumping your dream into the growing wings category. I'm sorry, but no. You see the universe as being a gatekeeper, gatekeeping everyone but those chosen few from success. You're afraid of failing, but the consequences of failure are completely self-inflicted. What is the meaning of life? Not to be dramatic. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today, I thought I would do another video on the topic of success and failure. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I kind of wanted to talk about this mainstream, almost limiting belief that a lot of people have and offer a solution. If you don't yourself think this or feel this, you would know other people who do. So it's kind of this idea that when you have a goal or a dream that you want to do, right? Well, there's no point trying to aim for that because you're not going to succeed anyway. So say you want to get into a really competitive master's program in university, or say you want to become a millionaire, or do this really cool thing over there, or do something else, like because they seem so big, bright and shiny, it's like, well damn, I'm not going to be able to do it. And this belief is reinforced by everyone, society. Society likes to think that it encourages people to follow your dreams. And certainly it tells kids that, but only superficially, because really what society actually encourages you to do is to aim for realistic and attainable goals, because you'll actually manage to achieve them, unlike your dreams. There's this idea that only a few people succeed at them, right? Which is why it's just so unlikely that you might as well not go for it. Like, only a few people can get into that really competitive master's program. Only a few people can live off their art. Only a few people can become a successful TV personality, I don't know. But only a few people can do it, and it's always assumed that you're definitely not part of that small percentage. And so it's kind of like futile, so you just don't try, you don't do it. This is the limiting belief that I want to break down today, because it is so damaging. Basically, what it does is convinces you never to go for your dreams, never to create the life you want, never to, go towards what you want and just stay and settle. That's a recipe for an unfulfilled life and unfulfilled potential. So I really want to dissuade you from this idea, because it actually isn't very logical, and this is what I want to try explain to you. So first of all, because of your big, bright, shiny dreams, because they're difficult, right? Only a few people manage to achieve them. Well, they're basically impossible then, so I'm not even going to try. It's this idea that difficult is associated with impossibility. I don't know if you can see, but it's this sliding scale over here. Essentially, the easier something is, the more possible it is, and the more difficult something is, the more impossible it is. Except this isn't doing us any favors believing that. We should actually instead think of it like black-white pass-fail buttons. Something is either possible or it's impossible. There is no in-between there. Here it's all in between. The reason I want there to be no in-between is because if something fits in the possible category, you go for it. But what's happening with you right now is that you're lumping a ton of things into the impossible category. Most of your dreams are actually, by definition, possible. They're just very difficult, but they are possible. You're acting like they're impossible by not even trying in the first place. The impossible category is actually really narrow and well defined. Things in the impossible category are stuff like growing wings. But you're lumping your dream of getting into a professional orchestra into the growing wings category. I'm sorry, but that is not impossible in the same way growing wings is. No, this is actually part of the possible category. And if it's in the possible category, you should go for it. But it's not as simple as that, because there's a reason you're attached to seeing possibility, impossibility on a sliding scale. It's because the difficulty of the goal, the dream, whatever thing it is, actually determines whether or not you go for it. But why does it determine that? Why does success rate essentially determine whether or not you attempt your dream, your goal? It's because you fear failure so much. Big surprise. I think we all know this. What you might not know is why. Why do you fear failure? It can be best visualized in this metaphor. You fear failure because essentially there are terrible consequences to failure. So this is kind of how you currently see success and failure right now. So you're in a deep dark hole. This is you. And you're jumping up right now. You're jumping up from the ground. And there is a pole. There is a pole over the mouth of the hole. If you can reach it, you can hoist yourself up into the land of success and what you want. So reaching this pole, essentially, jumping up and reaching this pole, is you succeeding at your dream, at your goal, at whatever it is you set your mind to. But of course, we can come short of the pole. We can fail. So that's where we try for our dreams and basically we don't make it. And that is you essentially coming short of the pole. You missed it. And so what happens? You fall back down. Bam. Gravity. Gravity takes you all the way back down. And you crash, burn. And that fall represents, well, basically it is a massive ego hit. It crushes your self-esteem. You believe in yourself less. Now you have proven to yourself that you couldn't do it. Great, great, perfect. It makes you super discouraged. I mean, it leaves you way worse than you were before you tried to jump. And so because of these consequences to jumping and failing and coming short, because of the consequences that falling has on your self-esteem, essentially you decide that it's not worth it to go for it anymore. To get deeper into this metaphor, it's like whenever you fall, the impact of the fall, you hurting your self-esteem, has the effect of shrinking you. So now if you actually go to jump again, the pole, by virtue of the fact that you have shrunk now, is further away. This represents the futility. So every time you jump and you fail, you're worse off in your self-concept, in your self-esteem, and next time it's going to be even harder for you. It's even more impossible. It's even more futile. It's even more hopeless. It's just a complete lose-lose situation. So you're like, okay. I'm just going to cut my losses because this is not working. And so I might as well settle. And this is what the ground is. The ground is settling. I might as well settle because at this point I don't think I'll be able to reach the pole. I don't think I'll be able to succeed, and I cannot take failing anymore. I cannot take the hits to the self-esteem anymore. So in the name of self-preservation, I'm just going to settle. I'm just going to aim for more attainable goals, right? So kind of circling back, the reason why you don't want to see impossible as possible as if just like separate kind of black, white, pass, fail buttons, and you want to see it and instead as this sliding scale where success rate determines whether or not you go something, not whether or not it is possible or not, is because of the consequences of failing, basically how brutal it is to your self-esteem and how it leaves you even worse off than before, even less likely to be able to succeed at what your dreams are. But let's break this down. So what actually happens when you fall, right? When you fail, you might not know this consciously, but you feel like the universe is denying you of what you want. You don't actually feel like you have a choice, really. It feels like, because of the societal limiting belief, which is this idea that only a few people succeed in literally whatever field it is, only a few people do. Because of that, it's kind of like you see the universe as being a gatekeeper. You see the universe as gatekeeping everyone but those chosen few from success. So what happens is the moment that you meet a failure, right? The moment that you come short or something doesn't work out, you're like, oh, I just must be meant to give up. It just must not be meant to be. Because if it was meant to be, it would work out, right? Because it works out for those chosen few. Right? Things just work out for them. You see the universe as gatekeeping everyone but those chosen few from what you want. These chosen few are what? The people who succeed. They succeed at becoming millionaires. They succeed at, I don't know, getting the love of their life. They succeed at literally everything you want, everything you're jealous of, they succeed at. Why? Well, you say it's either because they got lucky. They were special enough for some reason that the universe blessed them with some luck. They were in the right place in the right time, something you can't replicate. Either that or they're privileged in some way. They're privileged with looks, money, connections, just a ton of resources. But it's either one of those two things. Those are the people who succeed. Things just work out for them. So basically you interpret failure, you interpret things not working out for you as, okay, I'm not part of that small percentage. Of course, that just validates your low self-esteem. You already weren't thinking you were part of that small percentage because you have bought into this mainstream limiting belief as everyone who is raised under the mainstream does. But yeah, you take it as a sign that, okay, I'm not one of that small percentage who makes it. And so because I'm not one of that small percentage who makes it, it's impossible. It's impossible because it feels like if you're not part of that small percentage, well, the universe is denying you what you want. Like, it's going to feel like the forces are against you and the forces are stronger. So you might as well give up because you're never going to succeed. That's kind of what's subconsciously going on. Is this true though? Right? Is this true? Well, obviously, no, it's not true. And it's not how the universe works either. So what actually happens? When you jump and reach for a goal, yeah, and you come short, what actually happens at that moment where you come short and then where gravity takes a hold of you and then you start falling is that you give up. You think it's the universe denying you what you want, so it's like, well, I got no choice here. I can't move forward. But no, it's actually you giving up. Because if you didn't give up, you would have, it doesn't work with this metaphor, which is why this way of seeing things is wrong, but you would have like stood on air or something and then like jumped from there and gone up. You didn't have to lose all of that progress. If you didn't give up, there would have been no fall. Because there would have been no fall, there would have been no crash and burn that hurt you so much, and the crash and burn that you're afraid of so much. You're afraid of failing, but the consequences of failure that you're so afraid of are completely self-inflicted. You gave up, which is why you failed, which is why you're in a worse off position than you were before, which is why you have much lower self-esteem now. Do you see? Because the thing is, the universe is not a gatekeeper. You feel like it is, but it isn't. Because the universe actually doesn't hand things to you. The universe doesn't make things work out. That's this assumption that you've got, and it's wrong. The way the universe works is that it supports you in achieving your dreams and achieving what you want by catalyzing your evolution through having you almost like defeat these bosses along the way, which is having you overcome failures, challenges, obstacles. Because the only way you can overcome and go through those obstacles, failures, challenges is if you change something about yourself, or if you change something about your approach. That is you evolving. So when you make it through a failure, an obstacle, you come out better. That's how it helps you in getting what you want. It does not see you like a baby it has to provide things for. It recognizes you as a creator. What it does is helps you evolve to the point where you can yourself create what you want. You will only get what you want and your dream if you become the person who can naturally make it happen for themselves. But in order to become that person, you have to refine yourself. And how does refinement happen? Pressure. Let's think of diamonds. It happens through pressure. And these failures, you coming short, all these things in the way, that is the pressure catalyzing your evolution and counterintuitively taking you closer to what you want by helping you become the person who can create it for yourself. That's how it works. So you're not supposed to give up when you come short. You're not supposed to do that. That is not a sign from the universe to give up. That is not a sign from the universe that what you want isn't meant for you. You are misinterpreting it. That is not what is happening. It is just a boss, a game boss you have to beat to get to the next level. That's actually how it works. There's literally books written about it. Failing forward, or I don't know, the valley of death. After the, and you have to kind of force yourself. So like this is written about, this is understood. The obstacle is the way. See, another book. Like, that's how it actually works. And so this whole kind of like jump and reach for it kind of idea is wrong. This is all to say that you shouldn't go for your dreams based on difficulty, based on whether or not you will succeed at it. The only reason that you do is because you fear failure, but if you just didn't give up, there would be nothing to fear. It doesn't mean it's easy, but the thing you're afraid of wouldn't happen if you didn't give up. Now let's kind of talk about the solution, the alternative. This is what it should actually be like. This is the alternative metaphor, right? The metaphor for the solution. I don't know how I'm going to draw this, but imagine that you are a river. And you are the head of the river too. Look, this is you. and you're like, go forth, okay? You are the head of the river and you are forging through, you know, the earth. That's a tree, there's some mountains there, another tree. You're forging through the earth in the direction of what you want to succeed at, what your dream is. You're just single-mindedly aiming for that. And why this is a good metaphor is because there's some features of this that differentiates it from kind of the more vertical, you know, jump up and down perspective that you are currently operating from. For one, this is fully horizontal. It actually takes into account progress, which the the whole example absolutely did not. You either succeed or you fail. There is no in between. Why is there no in between? Because giving up is an option for you. Giving up should not be an option. If not giving up is not an option, do you know how much more likely you are to succeed? Do you know how much more likely you are to succeed? I mean, succeeding is almost inevitable. That's how much more likely you are, because you just have the perseverance, the grit. This is what growth mindset is all about. So back to this metaphor. Why this is good is that, one, it takes into account progress because it's horizontal. There's a beginning and an end, but there is progress in between there, right? Also, what does a river have? A current. And a current is always going in one direction. A river current doesn't reverse directions and go back into the other direction. What this is kind of symbolizing is this kind of never giving up forward movement energy. So whenever an obstacle does come up, it doesn't like, oh no, I'm just going to turn back now. No, that doesn't happen with the river. It either, you know, like overflows over it, or it pivots a bit, or it bends around it, or it does something. But the point is always this forward movement in the direction towards the goal. The goal. There is that unconditional focus in that direction. And this is great manifestation. This is great manifesting, because you've got this unconditional focus towards the goal. You've got this kind of like unconditional commitment to manifest it. Well, you're just so much more likely to manifest it then. But what happens with the vertical example is, and I didn't mention this before, but this is really cool to think about. But when you jump and miss, when you come short, when you fail, when in the process of jumping, you're manifesting it. Yeah, I want that, I want that, I want that. But then failure happens and you're like, oh no, I can't achieve it. And so you give up, and the giving up is actually the gravity that causes you to come back down. Why? Because instead of aiming for what you wanted, the life you want to create and all that, you gave up, and so you aimed for something else instead. You aimed for the opposite, life without what you wanted, etc. You actually decided to manifest that, because the thing is, when we go for our dreams, or when we don't go for our dreams, when we give up, we're not just letting go of our dreams. We're not just like, would be nice, but yeah, it's not going to happen. No, you actually have two options at all times. You have the option of your dream, right? The thing that you're letting go pass by. You have the option of that, and the opposite option, which is not that. So when you don't go for your dream, when you give up in the middle of going for your dream, what you're actually doing in that moment, in that decision, is choosing the other option. Life without what you want. Settling. That is what you're choosing to manifest instead. And so you do. And so you do. Needless to say, that is a terrible decision. I don't even think I need to get into it, because I think it's self-evident that that is a bad decision. Out of the two, like, it's like what you want versus what you don't want. I would like what I don't want, thank you. That is what you're doing when you give up, and that is also what you're doing when you don't try in the first place, okay? The river, horizontals, right, versus verticals, there is an unconditionality to their commitment, to their goal, to their dream. Verticals are very conditional. I will only do it if I succeed. Well, I'm sorry, but you fail forward. Like, the road to success is paved with failures and obstacles. And half the time you won't think you will ultimately succeed in the end. So you have to have a way more stronger and more unconditional commitment to it, because otherwise you will give up, and then you're left with nothing. At least with this way, even if you never get to your goal and to your dream, all this progress counts. The better it gets, the better it gets. Okay, so maybe you never get there. But through the process of trying, you've improved your life in all these kinds of ways. You've improved yourself. You have evolved. You get to keep that. Like, that's valuable in and of itself. And it's also valuable for a whole other reason, which brings me to my next point for why this is the better way to look at it. What is the meaning of life? Okay, not to be dramatic, and this is rather anticlimactic, but the meaning of life is to create the life you want. It's to be yourself and to manifest whatever your desires are and experience that, and then manifest new ones and experience that. It's to create the life you want. That's the meaning of life, and that's why when people haven't done that at the end of their life, that's exactly what they regret. And so the horizontal kind of perspective, where you unconditionally go for your dreams and you persevere through obstacles even if there's no guarantee to success, that is extremely in alignment with the meaning of life. Why is it extremely in alignment with the meaning of life? Because if the meaning of life is to create the life you want, going for your dreams is the process of doing that. So that's got nothing to do with whether or not you succeed. It's more like it's the process that is the meaning of life. It's the process of creating the life you want instead of settling. And we're all in some kind of relationship with the meaning of life. And we can be in a bad or a good one. We can be in an unconscious one or a conscious one. And the thing is, that is still the meaning of life. That is still the reason why you're here, even if you're not acting in alignment with that. Even if you're doing your damned hardest to settle every chance you get, and to avoid failing every chance you get, that is still the meaning of life for you. Except you're just doing a bad job and living in alignment with it. So we should aim consciously to live in alignment with the meaning of life. And on a smaller scale, that looks like going for your dreams. And specifically, that looks like going for your dreams unconditionally. Because what is the alternative? If you don't go for your dreams, what's the alternative? Ultimately, we have two choices in life. And that is to create the life we want, to manifest our deepest desires, or it's to not have any of that, to settle for the rest of it, never to have what we want, never to manifest our desires, never to live like we could have potentially lived, never to fulfill our potential. It's that or that. You got two choices in life. It's to live, that's living, right? Because that's in alignment with the meaning of life, why you're supposed to be. That's living. Or you're the living dead, right? Passive. You got two choices. And so when you don't go for your dreams, you're choosing an unfulfilled life instead. And look, I know that going for your dreams is hard. I know that we can feel extremely discouraged about doing it, like we will never succeed and all that. I know that it's hard. But do you know what's harder? Living a life where you never achieve your dreams. Living a life where you've settled. Living an unfulfilled life where you are a shell of what you could be. That's suffering, but for no good reason. At least when you're going for your dreams and when you're going for what you want, you're in pain, you're struggling for a good reason. Like, your pain means something important, but when it's just the pain of living completely out of alignment with yourself, when that is the pain, I mean, that is just tragedy. That pain is in service towards nothing. It's not a joke. We need to take going for our dreams and stuff seriously, and this video was a bit rambly. I really tried hard in preparing for it, but in conclusion, the things I want you to take away from this video is that you should look at your dreams and your goals from the perspective of, are they possible or are they impossible? One or the other, black or white, no in between. Okay, if they're possible, go for it. And when you inevitably encounter failures and obstacles along the way, you don't give up. You persevere. Why? Because trying for what you want and progressing towards it is a better option than settling. And It is the better option because, first of all, the universe isn't gatekeeping success from you. You can actually do it, and failure is not a sign that what you want is not meant for you, that what you want is not meant to be. No. What failure and obstacles are pressure points that the universe almost like puts you into so that it can catalyze your evolution, so you can become closer to the person who will be able to manifest what they want. That's actually the process that's happening. And ultimately, aiming for your dream is way better than not, because it's not like there's not a flip side to that coin. If you don't aim for what you want, if you give up on it, you're choosing the flip side instead. You're choosing a life without what you want, and you are guaranteed to manifest that. And that is not a good goal to have. If your goal is not your dream, your goal is a life you don't want. Let us not have that be our goal. I hope I made you conscious of some of the things that are going on subconsciously, and I hope I have managed to convince you at least a little bit that it's worthwhile to go for your dreams, even if they don't look possible for you. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. I hope to see you again in the next video.